the three possibly most familiar words from the British Army and training: improvise, adapt, and overcome. Something that My TrueNORTH, and today we are looking at improvise, adapt, and overcome. Three words that are so familiar to most, if not all, serving soldiers or past serving soldiers from the British Army. Three words that were indoctrinated within us with regards to how to be able to deal with effective incoming enemy fire. What we're referring to here is the infantry are on the battlefield or making progress towards the mission and targets, and then subsequently, very quickly, either an ambush situation or in contact with the enemy, where the enemy spot the position and choose to engage. And we start to receive incoming fire. And the first thing to do is to dash down, crawl, is the experience or the expression that we were all taught. First of all, to dash to a place towards cover, trying to observe the landscapes to establish as to whereabouts you can get a little bit of cover from the incoming fire, and then drop down into that, and then crawl into a place of safety so that the enemy can't see exactly as to where you've ended up after you've dropped. So you'll dash towards a place of safety, you will drop down so they can no longer see you, and then you will crawl from that position under the protection of whichever cover that you've found into a place of safety where you can at least take a breath and gather your thoughts and be ready for the next stage of operations. In those few seconds of gathering your breath and quickly looking around to be able to make sure that everybody else has been able to find cover also, you quickly check off your equipment and your resources, and then you start to lay down suppressive fire. You start to be able to put some fire down towards the enemy in order to prevent them from advancing, whilst you formulate a goal plan with regards to how you're going to overcome the immediacy of the situation so you can go back to the original mission. It all sounds very exciting and something that you might expect to see on a war film somewhere around the world. But this is the things that I used to do on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month basis as a frontline advanced trauma medic within the British Army, supporting many of the infantry regiments to which I'm now referring to. Now, you might argue, what the hell's Jay talking about on a business coaching page about his time in the army? And the simple fact is that there are so many things that we can take from that experience and apply to right now, the crisis that we're in, the lockdown, the COVID situation that we're in right now. The British Army are still regarded as one of, if not the, most professional fighting forces in the world. Now, I don't say that with much bias, although a little maybe, but I am saying that because regardless of the size of the army, regardless of the amount of equipment or funds that are made available to us, when it comes to doing the job on the ground, we are still regarded as one of, if not the, most professional fighting forces in the world. And we can take great pride in that because it comes from 200 or 300 years of history, of practice, of exercise, of carrying out these drills again and again and again in so many different scenarios that we now know them off pat, that we know exactly what to do, that the surprise that comes from where the enemy is doesn't throw us off kilter so much that we're not impactful and effective in being able to get our message out there and to be able to deliver an effective response to it. And quickly, what I want to share with you today in today's live is all about the process that we're in right now, the systems and the constraints that we're operating within right now in lockdown here in the UK, and yet how we can learn to be able to adapt and overcome. So over the next few minutes, I'd like to share with you a few thoughts with regards to how we can attack the situation that we're in right now and turn it back into our favour. Now, like I say, first things that we do is we start to receive incoming fire. And in this particular incident, it's the enemy is COVID. It's a secret killer that's currently still out there and taking out people quite at random and sadly on quite an effective basis. There's a sniper out there that is currently killing members of the public. And we need to be continually vigilant about what that means to us, which is why there's the 2 metre social distancing, why we're in lockdown, why we shouldn't be going out of our homes unless absolutely necessary, why we should be working from home, and all of the processes and the systems and things in place to try and protect us from this secret enemy. However, on occasion, we are taking incoming fire. There are things in our lives right now that are impacting our day-to-day lives. We are having to operate in a different manner to that we did pre-COVID. Dash, down, crawl. We've done that. We're in lockdown. Over the next second or two, we take a breath. We start to go through all the drills. We quickly check our equipment to make sure that we've got our magazines ready. We stow all our equipment. We tighten our belts. We get ready for the invasion. And then once a plan's been formulated as to whether we're going to go on a frontal attack and just go over the top and run towards the enemy guns blazing, or whether we're going to be a little bit more covert and perhaps take a left flank or a right flank, or possibly even retreat a little and call in air supports to be able to come and do a bomb drop. There are so many different alternatives to just sitting there and waiting for it all to pass. And therefore, one of the other things that we were taught in the army that I'd like to share with you today is survive to fight and not fight to survive. Now, I love this expression, but I think it possibly needs just a little bit of an example or sort of breaking down so we actually understand exactly what it means in our situation right here, right now. Survive to fight. What do we need to do right here, right now to survive? You see, as the infantry were patrolling towards the goal, towards the mission, what we were set out to achieve, we had a long-term goal. And in business terms, this is your business plan and what you were aiming to do in 2020, before COVID. You looked at 2019, you probably got to Christmas, you got to your New Year's resolutions, and all of it was geared towards another year of growth, taking on some more staff, expanding the business. And then this secret enemy came out, this sniper in the long grass. And as a result, has put an immediate stop to us being able to make due progress towards the overall mission. It's put some barriers in place that we now need to have to find a means of being able to, one, observe and be cautious of, but two, how do we overcome this so we can continue on the mission? The mission's to be able to help you and your business to add a zero to your personal disposable income. In order for us to be able to do this, we need to be able to survive. And that will mean right here, right now, that we start to put some suppression fire down. We start to be able to prevent the enemy from any further progress towards us. And then we subsequently come up with a game plan with regards to how are we going to overcome this problem. And that should be the position that we're all in as business owners right now, looking at how to survive during lockdown, whether that's having to dip into reserves if you've got them, whether it's having to take advantage of the, or being available to take advantage of the business and government support in terms of furloughing staff or grants or access to funds and SIBLs and the likes, or whether it's having to diversify who we are and what we do, or pivot what we do. Maybe now is the time, if no other, to be able to collaborate with others that collectively we can share resources and people and systems and processes that collectively we can help each other to get through this. You know, there's an old, lovely, another expression in the military, your enemy's enemy subsequently becomes your friend in this situation. So it might be that people that we were in direct competition with, if we have a means of being able to reach out and say, look, if either of us are going to survive this today, then perhaps we need to work more collaboratively and collectively, cooperatively together in order to be able to find a way towards overcoming this current lockdown situation. So survive to fight is all about being able to make some snap decisions here and now about what do I need to do to get through this current problem. this current lockdown, this current financial almost freeze on many people's aspirations of what they're able to achieve. But there is going to become a time, maybe not in the next week or so, but certainly in the next month or so, where lockdown is no longer the situation. Now, don't get me wrong. I want to be very clear here. I do not believe that we are going to simply move from lockdowns to unlocked. It's just not practical to do so. Don't forget, my last 2 years in the military was working with Porton Down and the nuclear, biological, chemical and radioactive warfare regiment. We were so used to, for 2 years, looking at dirty bombs and the likes. And I'm not suggesting for 1 minute that this is that scenario, but to the same scenario, the same consequences, we've got to understand that in order to be able to move past lockdown, we're going to go into a phased period of relaxing the lockdown. Over a period of months, we're going to see a slowing of these relaxing laws and rules and regulations towards some form of new normal. Now, I genuinely believe, and there's lots of research to support this, that the social distancing of 2 meters minimum is going to be around for months to come, that big events, big collaborations or collections of people aren't going to happen this year. There's a good suggestion that collections of over 500 or 1,000 people aren't going to happen next year. You see, we're going to go from a period of lockdown to a period of relaxed lockdown. I would call this pre-vaccine period, and then eventually a new normal, post-vaccine normal. And I genuinely believe, I wholeheartedly believe, there's lots of information to support this, that we're going to go through a period of lockdown, we're going to move into a period of relaxed lockdown, whilst we wait for an effective vaccine. And then once testing has been completed, and don't forget, this is not just testing of you or I, this is testing of a nation, 70 million plus people in the UK, and determining of who's got natural antibodies towards this, who needs to be vaccinated, who's already had it and recovered and had a mild dose. There's a whole series of things that will have to happen before we can move back to a normal of less worry of social distancing. So I think we're going to move into a period of pre-vaccine for perhaps 18 months, 2 years, possibly even beyond that, before we get to a post-vaccine and almost business as usual, whatever the new usual becomes. Nevertheless, I want to quickly, I don't want to digress too much, but I do want us to share with you this survive to fight, not fight to survive. You see, in that initial wave, as we dash down and crawl, we've gone into a period of survival mode. We've got to be able to prevent us from taking some incoming fire whilst we prepare for being able to take the battle back to the enemy, whilst we find a new means of being able to progress forward towards the end mission, towards what you set out to achieve. And it might be that we have to put on hold our 2020 plan and make 2020 survival. But we've still got this plan, we've still got these aspirations of what we'd like to achieve within our business. And that means that perhaps we just need to put some things in place to enable us to go back to our original plan. What that meant for us and our families and our staff and our colleagues and suppliers and clients. So dash down crawl into a place of cover. That's where we are as a country right now, in this lockdown situation where we're able to provide a little bit of cover. But we've taken a breath. We've been in lockdown for 4 weeks now. Some of us who are early adopters have been in it for 6 weeks now. It's now time to be able to check our resources, to have a word with our immediate section commanders and determine as to what action are we now going to take in order to be able to start taking the battle back to the enemy, to start being able to get back up again and to start making some further progress. Do we need to have a frontal assault? Do we need to be able to find a means of either changing the resources that we use or the method of delivery that we use in order to be able to continue trading as a business? And if that's not possible, if the funds aren't there to be able to dip into to save us through this period, then what do we need to do in order to diversify or to pivot? What do we need to do with regards to becoming an introducer or an affiliate of other people's businesses who are operating, so at least you can start to generate a royalties revenue by introducing your clients to their products and services and taking a commission for doing so? What do we need to do in order to fight to survive, ready to survive to fight? What plans are you putting in place for the relaxed lockdown period that we're going to move into? It's not going to be business as usual. This social distancing thing, if anything else, is going to be around for a while yet. So what are other things that you're putting in place to be able to ensure that when the lockdown is relaxed, not taken away, but relaxed, that we can start to trade and adhere to the duty of care that we have for our customers? What are you putting in place right now? What are the plans that you're coming up with? What are the formulations that you're creating in order to be able to operate more effectively post-lockdown? Now, don't get me wrong, as a business scale coach, I'm really, really keen to be able to reach out to as many people as possible and share some thoughts and ideas about how we might best be able to do that. So if you'd like to be able to book a free, complimentary 30-minute call to discuss you and your business, then I'll put a link below and you can simply go to my calendar, find a place and time that's suitable for you. And I'd love to have 30 minutes conversation with you about how to perhaps overcome or at least relax and review where we are right now, so the tension isn't on and we're not feeling like we're fighting to survive all the time. Once we've done this and we've found a means to be able to move forward, then it's a case of being able to review what we've done, what we've been through, what can we learn from this in order to be able to operate more effectively as we move into 2020, 2021. I was really grateful to have been invited to sit on a panel at the weekend just gone with 2,000 event and hospitality managers and owners to discuss what's happening in their industry worldwide. And it was fascinating to see, one, the speed in which people have moved towards a survive to fight and not fight to survive, and how slow some people are at hoping that if they just bury their head for a little while, that the battle will be over and they'll be able to pick themselves up and move on. There is no going back. The world is continually rotating in one direction. We are only ever going to carry on going forward. There is no going back to normal. We can't unlearn what we've now learned. We can't unsee what we've already seen. We can't unexperience what we are currently experiencing. There will be a new normal. Post-lockdown, post-vaccine, post-COVID. Are you preparing you and your business for that we can be effective and impactful in the new arena that we're going to see? That's Jay Allen from My True North. I'll be back tomorrow to discuss some more about what I learned from my 12 years as a frontline soldier in the British Army and how this can impact you and your business right now as I currently operate within My True North, the UK's leading ethical coaching company, helping business owners to scale and exit. If you've enjoyed today, please feel free to drop a comment below. Like I say, I will put a link in there to be able to book a call if you'd like to do so. And I'll be back around this time tomorrow. Take care, stay safe, and I'll see you tomorrow.